We're at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and today we're going to talk about feet in art. Feet can be powerful symbols in art, of compassion, of honor, of degradation, of suffering, and of playfulness. Let's start our investigation in the Asian wing. We see in the distance a statue of a deity from Tibetan Buddhism. She is Tara, known for her compassion. I wish we could have seen her by candlelight when she was brand new. She would have shimmered. One indication of her compassion is her eyes. Of course, she has the normal two eyes, but also a third eye. In addition, she has eyes in the palms of her hands. But for our purposes, what is especially interesting is that she has eyes in the soles of her feet. You can probably see them better in this picture. She is known as Tara of Seven Eyes, so compassionate that even her feet must have eyes to witness suffering. But feet can have other meanings. Sometimes putting your foot on someone is a sign of degradation, while touching or kissing a foot is a way to show honor and respect. Let's walk past the museum's Hindu temple courtyard to see a Hindu statue that does both. On the way, I'll tell you about a frightening buffalo demon named Mahisha. Apparently, he cannot be killed by a man, an animal, or a god, so he thinks he's immortal and terrorized the neighborhood. He's a bit hard to make out in the statue, so let's start with this sketch. You can see his horn, and it looks like he's wearing a thong. Now, suppose his head was being pushed back to expose his neck. He'd look like this. And now I think you'll be able to see him in the statue. So to kill him, the gods create Durga, a woman, a female superhero, who, because she is neither god, man, or animal, can take out the buffalo demon. The gods have equipped her with multiple arms, and this shield, this bow, a snake, and this trident that she is plunging into his neck, killing him. But now, look at a remarkable detail. On the one hand, she's putting her foot on the demon, the ultimate sign of victory. But at the same moment, the demon is honoring her by lifting her foot up. So the foot symbolizes both destruction and honor, acknowledging perhaps that these two figures are forever linked. She was created for him. Now let's talk about feet in Christian art in the late 1400s and early 1500s. I don't want to get your hopes up, but you won't see this picture in the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Here, Leonardo depicts a story from the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, where Jesus is celebrating the Passover with his disciples, and he tells the shocking news that one of them will betray him. You could read their reactions to this news around the room. But the fourth Christian Gospel, the book of John, tells a different version of this supper, as we can see in this picture by Ludovico Mazzolino. Done a few years later, here are the 12 disciples. Servants over on the right and at the top are preparing the supper. In this version, Jesus shocks his followers in a different way. He starts to wash the disciples' feet, a dramatic gesture of humility. One of the disciples is so disturbed, he says, "You will never wash my feet." But Jesus replies, "Unless I wash you, you will have no part with me." You can read their reactions as Jesus shows his love by washing their feet. His commandment to them is to love one another as I have loved you. And you can see their feet ready to be washed. Christians still observe this tradition today. Just recently, the Pope went to a prison and washed the feet of the prisoners. If you've been to the museum, you've certainly seen this cross from the late 1400s. It's 14 feet high, so you can't miss it, and it's full of symbols. Every part of this cross speaks to how Jesus suffered. But I'll just call your attention to one detail, which is his feet, which were painfully nailed to the cross. So bleeding feet can become a symbol of Jesus' suffering, as we see in this tiny picture by Jan van Eyck. The whole picture is 5 inches by 5 inches. If you're viewing this video on a laptop, you're pretty close to the original size. It was painted with a magnifying glass, so many of the details are invisible to the naked eye. For example, this black object is actually a boat with 8 people in it. In the museum, there's a huge plasma screen next to the painting, so you can expand the image and study the details. Here is St. Francis praying and seeing a vision of Jesus. He's so attuned to the suffering of Jesus that his hands and feet start to bleed, resonating with Jesus' suffering. Notice that Van Eyck has turned St. Francis's legs at an unnatural angle, so you can see the bleeding from his feet. Bleeding feet, then, are a way of evoking the suffering of Jesus. Feet can honor Jesus in another way, as we see in this famous painting of the Crucifixion by Roger van der Weyden from the 1400s. And here's another from the early 1500s by Gerard. The man on the left in each picture is John the Evangelist. Notice that he's barefoot in both pictures. Why? There is an injunction in the Christian gospel. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. So removing one's shoes is a way of recognizing holiness as well. Now let's turn to one of the most common images in Christian art, Mary and the infant Jesus, like this remarkable low-relief sculpture by Desiderio. Working with a slab of marble, probably less than 2 inches thick, the sculptor has used exquisitely delicate carving to give us incredible detail and a sense of depth. Look at Mary's face. The sculpture emphasizes that she's a very human mother, smiling and enjoying her cute baby. And like mothers of all times, what is she doing? Playing with the baby's feet. And who can resist baby feet? They're so impossibly cute. Everyone likes baby feet. Some people like baby feet so much that they even like baby shoes. So Jesus' baby feet, in other words, can symbolize his humanity. Let's look at how this plays out in another painting by Ghirlandaio. Here we see Mary and the infant Jesus surrounded by other saints. The artist wants us to see Jesus as fully divine and fully human. So on the one hand, he's a divine figure with a halo who is blessing us. At the same time, he's a human baby who plays with his toes. Even babies love baby toes. In art, everything has a meaning, even feet. And we've seen feet that are compassionate, honored, washed, suffering, respectful, and just wonderfully human. And thank you for joining me for today's visit to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Please see my other videos on the great art at the Philadelphia Museum of Art and subscribe to my channel.